I'm 20 years old now and I never went to college. Now, I'd be lying if I said skipping it was easy. However, I believe it was one of the best decisions that I've made. I've hit 10K months for my laptop and traveling the world with my girlfriend, but none of this would have been possible if I didn't make this hard decision. In this video, I'll walk you through the biggest lesson I've learned after skipping college and now being on the way to living my dream life, so you could too. So skipping college was not an easy decision at all. And even now, almost 3 years later, I'm still thinking about what I maybe missed out on. But there is more confidence that I made the right decision versus the wrong one. And I think tough decisions, even after you make them, will always feel this way. And I think if they didn't, then they'd just be easy, right? There would be no value to it. You wouldn't be thinking of it as a hard decision. And when I think about what I potentially even missed out on, there's so many things, to be brutally honest. Whenever I have conversations or I talk to, adults, most of the times, a lot of their friends are people that they've met in college. And I am absolutely certain that if I did go to college, then I probably would have met some of my lifelong friends. Another huge thing that I realize that I have missed out on, that I do think of from time to time, is what I think every 18 to 22-year-old, maybe even older than that, gets to experience, which is, that partying, the hookup culture, that entire drinking college level of experience. And that's something that I think every single person that I've went to high school with, that I was friends with, that they've been able to experience. And I'll be honest, skipping out on that, especially when I first made the decision and seeing all of my friends posting videos, posting photos on Instagram, going out and whatnot, having like the time of their lives, was something that I always felt like it made me question if the decision I made was the right one. And I'd say that ties into me feeling like I potentially even missed out on stories I could say down the line, stories I could even tell my children one day. I think it's a stereotypical thing for a lot of parents or dads to tell their kids like, oh, yeah, man, you didn't even know about me back when I was in college, and have all of these stories, all of these crazy experience that they get to hold on to forever, these ultimately golden memories that most of the time come from having these college experiences. And although sometimes I do have these thoughts, something that I have realized after having tons of conversations with friends, with people that I've just met, is that most people who have gone through that college experience that I feel like I missed out on, most of them do always tell me they wish they were in my shoes, wishing that, they could travel around, or wishing that they could make money from a laptop or online. A lot of people that I have spoken to, even older than me, who've gone through college, maybe even got their degrees, they feel less secure in their actual future than I do. Even people who are actively still in school, not even sure if what they've been committing their time to is something that they do want to do in the long term. People always switching their degrees, for example. And this is just from my personal experience from these conversations. A lot of these people wish that they had control over their income, control over their futures as well, and even just having that overall freedom at a young age. And after having quite a bit of these conversations, realizing that I was thinking about what I missed out on of potentially being in their shoes, and they're thinking about the same exact thing if they were in mine. I was recently in Australia with one of my closest friends, and he gave me an example, this analogy, and I might be butchering it, but it was something along the lines of having an actual girlfriend. Let's say she has 85% of what exactly it is you're looking for in a girl. She's good looking, she's funny, charismatic, she trusts you, she believes in you, but there's this other 15%. Let's say this girl loves going out and partying with her friends, for example. A guy who might not like his girlfriend going out and doing all those things, subconsciously will start to look for that missing 15% in another person. It's even like the example of a woman in the red dress, right? Could meet another girl, and just from a few conversations, it's easy to think that, yeah, she doesn't go out or anything. She stays at home. She likes the same things I do. And what you actually realize is that when you leave the original girl to be with the one who had that missing 15% is that although she had those things, she was missing that whole other 85. She was not funny. She was not charismatic. She wasn't, she didn't have all those traits that made you feel fully attracted to the one girl. And the point here is that people will always search for that missing 15% and not focus on the 85% that they do have. I think it could be the same thing with me making this decision. Maybe you making a decision yourself as well. It's very easy for me to think about, those missing things, focusing on the negatives rather than the positives. All these different things that I maybe missed out of, the people I could have met, but kind of overlook the 85% that I do have, right? The ability to travel, to work on my own schedule, to work a lot if I want to. And the same exact thing for the people who are in college. It's very easy for them as well to focus on the 15% that they are missing, kind of idolizing this online business life and not looking at what they do have, the people they've met, the opportunities they created for themselves as well. And this is such an interesting concept because even when I talk about feeling like I missed out on the parties and all these different things, when I even think about back when I was in high school, I didn't even like these things. I don't, right? I used to have anxiety whenever I'd go out to parties or any social events. And it just reinforces this idea of even if it's something you don't fully truly want, it's so easy to see that 15%. And I truly believe that no matter where you are in life, there is going to be points where you want something that you don't have. And I think a huge piece that really reinforced this belief for myself was when I was working my first 9 to 5. I had the biggest reality shift. Ever since I was growing up as a kid, even in high school, I used to think that adults had shit figured out. They were naturally a lot more mature, they had authority, control over their lives, all these different things. And something that was huge is that when I went to this job, I realized nobody has anything figured out, and there is genuinely barely any difference from the relationships, the conversations that I see in high school as the ones that I see with adults, with 30, 40, 50-year-old people. And this is something that even continued to develop when I even got into online business, when I even got into sales. I've had so many conversations with people who are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old who genuinely are lost, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing, but it's just something that I realized. I have met so many more 20-year-olds that have a lot more depth to them than some 50 and 60-year-olds. I truly believe that this is because you actually learn from experiences, not necessarily from years of your life. The more you go out and you experience different cultures, different careers, you're naturally going to develop so many other perspectives rather than somebody who might be 60 years old who has worked and repeated the same exact day to day for 40 years. Having that level of awareness is going to truly help you make decisions that actually make sense for yourself, not just because somebody who's a little older is telling you, hey, this is the right way. So although I still think about, what I maybe missed out on, I genuinely could not be happier. And I've realized that's a part of making any meaningful decision. Every single path is going to come with a sacrifice. Every path is going to come with a risk. And even after you make the decision, the grass is still at times going to seem greener on the other side. People in college wish that they were in my shoes, and I have the thoughts of, did I really miss out on, that college experience? Did I make the right decision? So the goal isn't necessarily to make a decision that feels perfect, because it truly never exists. I've learned that it's genuinely by putting every single human being to the side and asking yourself, what is it that you truly want? What would you be proud of? What would you be happy that you did in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now? It's choosing the decision that your future self would thank you for. And that's something that I wish I could have told myself 2 years ago when I was conflicted between making the decision. So I hope that was valuable. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments as well. If you enjoyed this, let me know what you'd like to hear in other videos. Talk soon.